Yes, people, I've gone bald. I was meant to go in with a picture of what I wanted it like. I'm supposed to go in with like a picture of Roddy Ricch and say I want it like this, you know, kind of Afro style. I left my phone in the car and I didn't have time to go back and get it. So I just said do whatever you want to it. And anyway, I did a post the other day about the vlog, you know, if you guys wanted to see the vlog style of the videos as well as doing the gems. And the percentage was leaning more towards just doing the gems, but there were still quite a few of you that voted for the vlog content as well. So I found a happy medium where I'm just going to post like you saw at the start of this video. I'm going to post where to skip to if you want to go straight to the gems. That way you don't have to be jumping around in the video. You can just skip straight to the timestamp. But yeah, I'm going to keep the vlog for a little bit because, you know, I enjoy making that section. It's good. I like just to document, you know, what I'm getting up to, and then I can, you know, 10 years down the line look back at it and whatnot. So, and I feel like there's more connect as well. Like, I know like a lot of you may think, you know there isn't, but kind of gives you a real idea of what, you know, what I'm up to, and the information that I'm giving you. Like, you know, I want you to know that it's legit, and, you know, not that I'm just, you know, chatting at a camera telling you what to do and you not knowing anything about me. So I'm going to keep it for a little bit. Health is wealth, people. I never have them enough. In Cyprus we have a lot of fresh figs around this time of year, and they're like really like sweet. I don't know, they just taste nice. But yeah, Hera drum kit is still out. If you guys are new to the channel, then I've dropped a free drum kit called the Hera drum kit. Some really clean sounds in there. I spent a lot of time on this kit, so if you want to go and jump on that for free, then the link is down below. Same goes for the free beat selling webinar as well. That's down below as well if you want to jump on that. I'm going to jump into a big tutorial today. I'm not going to do a whole lot of vloggy stuff. I've got a big tutorial today on mixing your beats as a whole. The main part of it's going to be mixing the drums, because I'm going to show you guys like the new way of using a soft clipper, and it doesn't involve just slapping a soft clipper on the master and cranking everything up, because I got a whole lot of kickback from that tutorial. So I've sort of scoped around a bit, you know, learned some new stuff, and come up with this new way to mix drums. It gives it the same sort of hard hitting sound, but it doesn't sound anywhere near as clipped. It sounds a whole lot cleaner. So, and the main thing that we're going to do is not put it on the master. We're just going to put it on the drums, because they're the sounds that are the loudest. We don't want to be, you know, squashing the melody into the drums. We want to be pushing the drums through the mix and then having the melody nice and, you know, nice and clean as well. So yeah, man, let's jump into it. All right, so let's do this. All right, so I'm going to kind of go from the beginning and kind of walk through the whole process, because there's a few steps that are really important that will allow you to get, you know, the 808s and the hi-hats and everything like mesh in nicely. You know that YouTube type beat sound, you know, it all sounds like real punchy, but it's not like overly clipped and overly distorted. So yeah, let's dive into it. So I've got this beat right here. Okay, so that is the beat. Now the first thing we want to do is just get everything in the mixer. I say this at the beginning of every tutorial, but the best way to go about, you know, your whole workflow is just to stick everything in the mixer. All right, so the first thing we want to do is to highlight everything in the mixer, the melody, the drums, everything. And we want to adjust the levels so that the 808 or the kick, so the loudest sound basically with, you know, with the low end, like the 808 or the kick, is sitting above 0 dB, and I'll show you exactly why I do that in a second. Yeah, we're going to highlight everything, and I'm assuming that you've already leveled everything and that you have all the volumes set to a level that you're happy with. So we're going to highlight everything, play the beat, and then adjust the levels. So we're going to be focusing on the 808 and the kick right here, and I'm going to make sure that the levels are just above 0 dB. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I'm happy with that. So take a look right here. We're above 0 dB, which is what we want. Okay, I'll stay with me. I'm going to explain why. So once we've got that, then we want to assign the drums, the 808 and the kick, to a sub bus. Okay, like a drum sub bus. So I've already labeled mine right here. Let me move it out of the way so you can really see what I'm doing. Alright, so here's the drum sub bus, and we're going to highlight all the drums, the 808 and the kick. So if you don't have to do that, it's just control left click and drag. And then right click over to your drums and then route them to that track only, and then the drums should be routed to the master. So you see this little green string right here. All these drums should be going to the drums, then the drums should be going to the master. Perfect. Okay, so basically here's the mixer track. Here's all the effects that we're going to be working with. Soft clip is the first one. The FabFilter Pro Q3 I've got, but you can use the Parametric EQ if you don't have that. A limiter, and I've got an exciter on there, or you can use like the Camel Crusher, which is free. So we're going to start with the soft clipper. Now there's one slight adjustment that we're going to do, and I don't know why this sounds slightly cleaner, but it does. So instead of leaving it at the default preset where this post knob is set to 80, we're just going to take it down to 79. I think this is just has something to do with the transients. I'm not 100% sure. Now the next thing I'm going to do is lower the volume of the drums to around -6 dB, between -6 dB and -4 dB. Like the rule of thumb, you know, that a lot of producers go by is to mix at -6 dB. Somebody told me that in the comments of the last mixing tutorial that failed dramatically. So yeah, I'm going to pull down the volume of the drums and make sure that we're sat at 0 dB. So, okay, cool, right, so I'm going to give you a preview prior to the soft clipper being added, and then you can hear what it sounds like afterwards. Already we have like a bit of a crunchy sound running through it. This is before. Okay, after. Okay, massive difference, and if you take a look, like the levels have come way down, but the beat is still like super punchy. So already we've kind of brought everything together really nicely. So next I'm going to add is an EQ. It can be the Pro EQ, it can be any EQ with a visualizer, you know, where you can see the frequency spectrum. All I'm going to do with this EQ is cut off the low end. Okay, now it's not cutting off, you know, the 808 and the kick. We're just cutting out the frequencies that the human ear can't hear. I didn't think it'd make a huge difference, but it really does. So we're going to come into around 19 or 18 hertz. The hertz level that we can't hear past is 20 and below, but I like to play it safe and just go, you know, 1 or 2 below, so we've got a little bit of wiggle room in case there's any frequencies that are trying to get through. So I go to 19 hertz and I'm going to do a cut of 36 dB. Okay, quite a steep cut. Okay, so this is before. After. Okay, not a huge difference, like, you know, you shouldn't really be hearing a difference, but overall when the beat's finished, this is just going to clean it up a whole ton. Like, I can't even explain to you how much it cleans it up. Now, one thing if you haven't noticed is that the levels seem to jump up. I don't know why this happens, but the levels jump up when you add that EQ. When you add that hard cut, the levels jump up. So if you look at before, if you look at after, so we've jumped way up to like almost 0 dB. So what we want to do is kind of tame that down, and we want to make sure that the 808 and the kick are hitting consistently. It can just be the 808, you know, you don't have to have a kick in your beat if you don't have one. But if you're making the beat in the 808s, you know, hitting in different keys, you'll notice that the 808 hits at different levels as well, based on, you know, whatever key you're playing it in. So what we want to do is just add a limiter and just play with this ceiling knob, and we just want to find the lowest peak and put this ceiling knob sat just on top of it, so that any higher peaks are kind of capped and everything's hitting at the same, you know, at the same levels. Okay, so I can see right here. So I can see right here that this one right here, that's the lowest sort of hit. So I'm going to bring the ceiling down and just have it sat on top. So I'm just going to take a tiny bit away from these other high peaks, just so that everything's hitting consistently. The kick and the 808, the clap, everything's sort of hitting at a consistent level. Awesome. Okay, now once you've done that, this is sort of like an extra step that I like to do. I've talked about this plugin in previous videos. It's called the Aphex Vintage Exciter. That's the next plugin we're going to add, and it basically just adds like a really nice top end to whatever you put it on. It just sounds really nice. If you don't have the budget for it, I think this plugin's like $30 or $40 or something, but if you don't have the budget for that, then the alternative could be the Camel Crusher, and you just play with this tube distortion knob and just, you know, just add a tiny bit of distortion to it. But the Aura Exciter just does a much better job. Come to this PA default preset, and you're just going to start at 0 and just crank the knob up until you can hear a bit of top end added to it. This isn't like an essential step. I just do this because it just cleans up even further for me, but you really don't have to. Like, as you can hear already, we're already sounding fairly clean. But yeah, I'm gonna drag this up and make it sound cleaner. Okay, so this is before, after. Okay, just a tiny bit of, you know, sharpness to the top end. It just makes it sound a bit crispier. Now, in terms of mixing the actual drums, but that's pretty much as far as we're going to go. That's all we need to do. Next thing we need to do is match the melody levels, because these are going to have changed slightly. So we're going to just match up the levels and make sure that everything is you know, where we want it to be. So the drums are done, just leave those as they are now. Now we're just going to come to the melody, and if you want to make it easy, just make a little sub bus like I have here, and just move that over as well so you can see it. So yeah, I'm just going to put all the melody and just run it through a melody sub bus, just so we can affect the levels all at once. Just a quicker way of doing it. So I'm just going to highlight the melody and then route it to this melody sub bus. So now it's just a case of playing the beat and adjusting this melody level so that it sits nicely with the drums that we've just mixed. Alright, cool. I'm happy with that. Like, it literally only takes a few seconds to do that. Just do it by ear. Make sure that it's just sounding nice to you, and you should be good. So, once you have that all good to go, then we're going to come to the master and do 2 more things. Now, you should already have the soft clipper on there. This soft clipper on here is only to stop anything going through 0 dB. We're not going to be pushing the whole beat through it this time. We're not going to be, you know, crunching the whole beat together and killing the quality. Instead, we are just putting that there to stop anything running through 0 dB, just as like a safety precaution. So the first thing we're going to add is a tiny bit of compression, not a whole lot. Now I like to use the CLA compressor by Waves. You can just use the stock compressor, but this is just really easy to use, and it's just gives a really nice subtle bit of compression to it. So what I'm going to do is pull the gain down to 0, pull the peak reduction down to 0, and then I'm going to slowly raise the gain until I can get it, you know, fairly close to 0 dB. We don't want the clipper, you know, squashing it all together. Just be very careful of that. We just want to pull it up to 0 dB, and then we're going to add a tiny bit of compression, and then we're going to do one more step after that. So cool, let's do it. All right, I'm happy with that. Okay, cool. Now we're just going to pull this peak reduction knob up, and we're just gonna take a little bit off the top end of the beat. You know, literally like 0.5 of a dB. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, cool. Now I totally understand if you don't have that, then it's going to be a bit different. So if you're using like the stock plugins or anything like that, then you set the ratio to about 3.1, and then bring the threshold down. You only want to take off about half a dB's worth of the whole levels to compress it together. Really don't go over the top of it. Alright, cool. Now the last step is Maximus. So what we're going to do is open Maximus. Then we're just going to do a couple things in order to make sure that we are not doing anything silly. So if you look right here at the bottom right on the default preset, we have a low cut. I don't know why this is on there. It kind of just takes all of the low end out of the beat. We're going to take the low cut way down to 0. I think it's on the master channel where it does that. Everywhere else should be okay, but if it isn't, just go to the lows. Make sure that none of the lows have been cut out. Make sure the mids aren't being cut out, and make sure the highs aren't being cut out either. And then we're going to turn the compression off as well, because we don't want to compress. We've already done that. So we're just going to go to the lows, turn the compression off, the mids, turn the compression off. Same with the highs, same with the master. Cool. And then the last thing we want to do is just crank the ceiling up to full, because we don't want Maximus to be limiting this beat. We want the soft clipper to do that. So we're just going to take the ceiling up to full, just to be on the safe side that we're not limiting, or we're not, you know, pushing anything into a ceiling in Maximus. And then all we're going to do after that is just the stereo width, and that is fairly easy. So the low end, basic rule of thumb, is just to put it into mono. So this is the knob you want to be paying attention to. So we're just going to come and put it to merged. Play the beat. Okay, come to the mids, and we're going to pull the mids out and, you know, broaden out the mids a little bit. And again, just do it by ear. Don't try to copy exactly what I'm doing, because your beat's probably going to be different to mine. Just do it by ear until, you know, you've got a bit more width on the mids. Okay, same with the highs. Cool. And the last thing that I'm going to do is play with this saturation threshold knob right here. I don't know what it does, but it just gives it like some nice crunchiness to it. I don't know why, I don't know how it works, but it just does it. So I like to come to this threshold and drag it all the way to the left, or maybe back off if it's too harsh. Alright, cool, and that's sounding pretty good. That is pretty much all you want to do. If you are still below 0 dB, you may want to just crank the post knob up a little bit to bring it up to 0 dB. But honestly, if you're uploading it to your BeatStore, you're probably better off having a little bit of headroom. Going completely against what I said in my last tutorial, but this really is a cleaner way of doing it, and you still get a nice loud and like punchy sounding beat. So yeah, I'm going to play the beat and just make sure we're coming through at a nice volume. And that's how you do it. That is how to make your drums sound clipped, sound, you know, nice and punchy, and just have that like that soft clipper texture, but it's not you're not overdoing it, and you're not like, you know, forcing the whole master channel through it. So that's the way that I've been doing it recently, and it's been working quite well. It's made a big difference to the quality of my beats as well. So if you want to give that a go, give it a try, and let me know how you get on. But try to follow those steps. Try not to miss anything, because it's important that you have the levels of the 808 and the kick running through 0 dB, and then it's important to add everything in sequence that I showed you with the drums as well as the master. So yeah, it's important that you do it in order. So yeah, man, I hope that helped. Half time. Listen to a loop. Hey.